Welcome to the second episode of the pilot. Yes, we're pulling an achievement hunter.
Essentially, yes.
So, the home console era, guys. We have everything from the Magnavox Odyssey to, technically even like the Xbox One X at this point. But we're going to be touching on like
New generation.
We're going to be touching on like the early stuff before we go to like the DLC bullshit. So like
in modern consoles too.
Yeah.
That way. All right.
So like Atari, really was the first, mainstream, the 2600 was the mainstream, pilot essentially for, we can play arcade games in our living rooms. We got a joystick and we got, a 2-foot cord.
Yeah, I think one of my most favorite games on the Atari, since we're mentioning it, on the 2600, because there was another one. I think it was what was the other one? The failure one, the big one.
The Jaguar.
I think it was the 5200.
Let me pull
big
it up.
One that failed.
Yeah, it was the one that like the controllers would malfunction. They had like AVGN made an episode on it, and he put his beer in it and stuff. It was fucking hilarious.
We had the 2600, the 5200, the 7800.
Yep. I think it was the 5200 or the 7800. It's really big though. But anyways, my favorite game on the Atari 2600 was Crackpot. Believe it or not, I really liked.
That sounds like a very, very, very.
It's the one where you have to catch the plants because there's a guy on top of the building dropping plants on you or bombs or something. There's a bomb one too, by the way, but I remember the Crackpot version of it. I think it was Bomb Catcher, that other one, but like each level you advance, the bombs would drop faster and the guy would drop them faster as well, so you had to catch them. It was fucking absolutely insane. And then when a bomb hits, it would have like a screen seizure of different colors. It was just amazing.
Yeah. So this technically goes from the first, home generation of consoles to what we know as the third, era in the gaming industry. From like the 2600, the Magnavox Odyssey, all the way to like the PS1, shit like that. It's really a really broad term, and it saw a lot of innovation in the gaming industry. But the biggest one for me, I was a Nintendo kid till the PS1 came out, and then I stayed with Sony for the longest time before going back to anything else. I mean, achievements ruined me. They really did.
I want to mention a little special fact about Nintendo and Sony. At one point, Nintendo and Sony had a relationship with each other.
Then Nintendo fucked it up by going to Philips CD.
Yep. So Sony would make their discs, but Nintendo, I guess they came to a contract one time, and Nintendo was like, nah, we don't need you. We'll take Philips CD. And ever since then, I think this is what started the whole Sony and Nintendo, I wouldn't say war, but like relationship terms. It's been pretty much eliminated ever since. We don't see any real collaborations.
I mean, it was
Fortnite on the Switch.
Exactly, the Fortnite thing.
It just showed that Nintendo couldn't be trusted. It was a blunder on their part, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
And I'm not saying Nintendo's perfect. No way. Earlier, I mean, Nintendo's a lot better than they were back then, understandably, with business practices and stuff aside.
Because if you guys remember, Philips CD, they made the Philips CD console,
which was shit.
We had some of the worst games on it. And
oh my god, Hotel Mario,
the Forbidden Zelda games.
It's sort of horrible.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure Nintendo wants to erase that history of them.
Oh yeah, that was like, we'll never do that again. I mean, it was pretty cool to see it in CD format, but it was complete trash. I mean, the default version, you would use the fucking remote and not an actual controller until they finally released the controller version. And I believe they didn't even have a second player port, meaning they didn't have a second controller port on the goddamn thing.
Yeah, remember, back in those days, the remote control had a 1-foot cord for the VCR.
Yup.
So you were like,
I can't even move.
God damn, if I have to take a piss, I'm taking it right here.
Like, yeah, I want to go sit on the couch, fucking yanks the controller with you with the console.
Damn it!
I wouldn't even call it a console. I mean, it's a freaking VHS, for God's sakes.
Yeah,
Technically speaking, yeah.
Yeah, it was really, you know, some of the crunchy stuff. You know, quite kind of funny coming from, you know, the people that invented the seal of approval.
Yeah.
But like, that was because of Atari, which would allow anything on their platform, kind of like we saw,
Yes.
you know, later on in the Wii years, especially.
Oh, yes. We had a lot of things called shovelware.
Uh-huh.
And the interesting thing about shovelware, it's not like I would necessarily say it's their fault for producing these shitty games. But, you know, the whole point of the shovelware thing was for people like very low developers to make a quick buck off of some people that didn't know much about games. And so you would see this a lot, I would say, in the NES era, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And like you'd see, for example, I always mention this one, Action 52, I think it was called Action 52, 51. It was basically like 51 or 52 games, all just jumbled together.
Oh god.
And the price of it was like $400. So if you were a gullible adult getting something for your kid, you'd be like, oh my god, that looks amazing. Like 50 something games that was never really heard of back then. So they'd pick it up and they'd play it and they'd notice the games were complete, utter chaos because they were either two or three things. They were broken as fuck. The controls were so bad. A lot of glitches. Two, they weren't real games. They were just like copy and paste based. So like you'd see a lot of these shovelware games copy a lot of shovelware games. So you see a space game, it copy that same format. I think there's a third one, which is
we see this a lot with like Tetris now, still
yeah,
to this day.
and a lot of copywriting. But back then we didn't really have the seal of approval shit, so they wouldn't necessarily copy them to the fullest extent, but they kind of like knock it off, like knockoffs basically.
And now we even see it with Destiny clones.
Yeah, woo!
Like
Destiny.
Like, you know, this generation, this era of gaming, you know, gave birth to, you know, characters like Super Mario, you know,
Yes.
the Super Mario Brothers series, the Alex Kidd series, the Comic Zone, you know, Sonic.
Oh my god.
Legend of Zelda.
Legend of Zelda. Oh.
Yeah, like
Sonic, one of the worst fan
No.
bases. Oh. No.
like it really was
Just do
like fuck, I'll get up and get the nut button.
I was just thinking about that. I'm like, why isn't David at the nut?
No.
You need to nut.
Nut.
Oh,
Oh.
I
Like,
need to buy that. I need to buy that,
It's
bro.
like $12, I think.
yeah, it's like $11.99 on Amazon.
We're not promoted by Amazon, I swear.
And we're not promoted by the nutbutton.com. Buy it today. But like this, there was this fear lack of integrity in this generation. Like Atari was notorious for it. See the E.T. game that is in our footage here.
Let me tell you a little bit about that game. It was something. It was really something.
Can we really call it a game?
No. It was pretty much. You know, it's actually funny to think about it. It's kind of like scenarios what we have with today with a lot of movies that get turned into games. We take EA, for example, when they turned Star Wars into the Battlefront series, like Battlefront 2, for example, when they had the microtransactions and shit. It was pretty much shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But back then, we had a lot of movie game adaptations for the NES and the Atari. One of them on the NES was Jaws, and I gotta say that wasn't too bad. Of course, it was made by LGN, which is notorious for making shitty movie titles. I mean, shitty movie game titles. And the ET game was pretty fucking bad.
Pretty bad. What's worse, Superman 64 or E3? Yeah, E.
That's a tough one.
I'd say Superman 64. That one was very fucking atrociously bad because of the controls. But then again, they both suffer from the same issues control-wise. But I really don't like flying, so that's why I decided to go with Superman 64.
Like
That can go suck a dick. I'm not flying through rings with horrible controls.
yeah. So
This is so bad. It's both look just awful.
And it had like horrible checkpoint timings. Like
Oh,
you could
God.
never get a checkpoint
you
correctly.
you could never get anywhere in the game, really.
It like asks you the dumbest shit. It's like, oh, go pick up a car. Now throw it over here in 3 seconds. You gotta go through these rings in like 10 seconds. It's like fucking, it's like you're going through the military courses. I'm like, holy fuck.
Little did you know it was training the super soldiers of tomorrow.
Oh my God, well, it was a shitty idea, I can say that.
Like, in this era of gaming, we had, you know, other like iconic characters come to life. Some of them we don't see anymore. See our freaking PlayStation video. Like we had like Spyro, we had Gax the Gecko, we had, you know, so many, you know, franchises that came in this era of gaming that, you know, we either see bastardized, like see the Skylanders, or
I want to see a Croc sequel.
oh my God, I would love a Croc sequel. Like, can we just get that, please? Please, whoever owns the IP now.
I've seen the commercials of that when I was a kid. I was like, wow, that actually looks really cool. And I played the game. It's not bad.
Yeah, and then we had Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, you know. Well, I technically...
That's another game. But didn't that get, like, multiplayer?
Yeah, it
that
was
was
like
multiplayer.
3. Yeah, it was 3. It was like, one was on... Well, technically, we won't talk too much about it, but one was on, I think, the PS2 and the Xbox.
Yep, I remember.
And then the other one was on, like, GameCube as well. I'm like...
Mm-hmm.
Now they're all
I
on
remember
Steam.
the PS2. Yeah.
But yeah, like, we have Sega, you know, bringing out great games, but we also see them take the back
Like
seat.
Phantasy Star.
Yeah, but we also see them eventually take a back seat as a publisher.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about a lot of titles when they were first, like Sega titles and stuff. Now they're just, like you said, they're backseat, and you don't really see them a lot. You don't even hear them.
Yeah.
It's like, eh.
When was the last time we got Phantasy Star game?
A long ass time.
God.
Like
Like-
we had the online 2 that was, you know, on the, I think the PSP or PS Vita
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A long time.
in Universe
I mean-
on the 360.
I mean, the 360 is considered old as shit. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Even though, you know, some publishers still, you know, develop games for it.
of
and,
course.
And the
Yep.
Wii, as you see in our E3 discussion.
Yeah, I did mention that Just Dance 2019 is going on the Wii, which we already discussed that, but we already talked about that. So
That's so fucking stupid, by the way. But yeah, you know, there's a lot that Sega took a backseat as a publisher during this, you know, era, essentially.
Yeah.
Apparently, there are rumors that they're making their own console.
I know that there was an article that I read, and I sent this to Kate, who was supposed to be in this video, but she had to go to work. Like, there was a lot...
Same, I have to go to work in 2 hours. Ugh.
Like, there's a fucking toaster being made by Sega. I'm like...
I wasn't too, like, pissed about it. I was just like, it's stupid, obviously, but I don't see, like, what's the point of it?
I mean,
yeah, it makes fucking toast and it shows Sonic's logo face on it. I'm just
Sonic.
like, really?
But there's no Uganda Knuckles or no memes. Like, I mean, Sega's officially embraced being a meme at this point.
Yeah, I know.
But
You know the way.
But, like, that was what blew me away. Like, Sega, I love you, but you're making a fucking toaster instead of, like, a classic console or, you know,
I think they're trying to imitate the Nintoaster.
Oh, God, I forgot
But that was just a fan project. That wasn't, like published, like, major published. That was just a fan project I've seen on the AVGN channel. Someone built him the Nintoaster and stuff. So that's why I think they're trying to build the fucking Sega Sonic toaster thing.
Yeah, and before we, move on to the next, generation, is there anything that you guys really, remember deeply about this era of gaming? My first memories as a gamer in general was through pictures. My dad and I used to, when we were still civil, I have this picture, and I actually remember, doing this as a kid. We would sit down and we would play, like, the original Legend of Zelda together. We would sit down and we would play, like, the original Mario Brothers together on the NES. Yep. And the Nintendo Power-themed gamer chairs.
Oh my god.
I wish I still had those fucking chairs. I don't know where they went, but I kind of want to get...
So, let's say Sega does come back in the market, right? And they bring out a brand new console, and they're going to E3 next year and all that good stuff, right? And they're back. We have a fourth contender in the big three, right?
Forced to be reckoned with, bros.
So what would you think? Let's say they had an E3 conference, right? And you were like the CEO of Sega at E3, right? What would you put? What would your showcase be like for that E3 in 2019 if you're coming back, right?
Go full meme. That's Sega's personality at this point. Have you seen their fucking Twitter? Like,
I mean, you could talk about game lineup too.
Yeah, like, just
and stuff,
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, one of their most successful franchises right now is the fucking Yakuza series.
Yep.
So I
One right there.
I would come out, swinging with that, because we're getting ports of them to the PC, as announced at the E3 PC gaming show. Yep. I don't really know what else Sega has on its platter as a publisher now, and if they were getting back into, the gaming era, would we consider them a developer again?
I mean, if we considered the IPs that they have, right? Streets of Rage, Sonic, Sonic, Alex Kidd, Phantasy Star, Virtual
Fighter.
What
do they still own rights to? Is the big question.
They're gonna have to get those rights back.
Like Golden Axe and stuff like that. They lost the rights to most of their IPs? Really?
They lost a lot of their rights, if I'm not mistaken. So let me check their current, stuff that they have, franchises. I mean, they still apparently have Afterburner. They released the title in 2010. Alex Kidd was not released since 1990, so who knows if they still have that. Altered Beast had a re-release in 2005, so they still own that. Bayonetta, they still own as, the publisher. Obviously with Bayonetta 3, they could, put that on their console.
Nintendo stole Bayonetta from them.
But, I mean, they're still the publisher for the title. Beyond Oasis, they haven't released a title on that since 96. So, how many of these are public domain? And how many of these do they still own at this point? Because, at a certain time in gaming, your IP, becomes, abandonware. We see this a lot in gaming.
They're gonna have to get, like, popular publishers, or per se, like, we'll talk about, like, Ubisoft, for example, and have them make, like, a very unique game just for their console. Of course, they'd be dishing out a lot of money, but it could work. It could break it, or it could work.
Yeah, and, like, we have everything from, like, Echo the
Square
Dolphin.
Enix.
Yeah, well, I mean, Square would be perfect for something like, fucking Phantasy Star.
Exactly.
I mean, they own the Hatsune Miku franchise, apparently, as a publisher.
So, I'm just gonna assume if Sega came back, they'd be the new Sony, because Sony doesn't even have a majority of their IP that they want added.
Oh, they own Panzer Dragoon. I forgot about that. God damn it, I want it. I want it back now.
Is that the Dragon Flight game?
The Dragon Flight on-rail shooter game, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sega would be that Sega would be that second Sony that has all those IPs, but they can't use them because half of them are gone or in their basement. So
they're in their like Ape Escape.
You want to know the pathetic thing? The absolute pathetic thing about Sega. I love them to death, but They have a Sonic game apparently on the Amazon Fire TV.
What?
Yes.
That is.
I'll send it to you guys in Discord. This is ridiculous.
Where are you gonna send it? In general?
Yeah, in the ragtag in the Discord server.
Okay.
I did not know this at all. I am appalled that this is a thing.
I'm appalled. Oh.
Let's play Sonic the Hedgehog on the Amazon Fire TV. I'll try and live edit that up as well, or edit that up as well.
NVIDIA Shield? No, that one's an interesting one.
Well, I mean, that one at least makes sense. I mean, well, the Fire TV kind of does too, because there's a controller for it, but...
Oh my fucking god, I bet it's like a point-and-click game or some shit.
Probably. I don't know.
Oh, man, I remember those type of games. Point and click.
I don't know.
Like, I mean, there's only so much you can do with remote.
Well, I mean, there is an actual controller for the Amazon Fire TV, because you can actually stream through GameFly's service on it.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, it could be an actual Sonic title. We don't know, but it's still like
It's probably a shitty one. I guarantee you, they're not promoting fucking televisions. So.
Yeah, like even streaming a AAA title from the GameFly streaming service on the Amazon Fire TV, because one of my friends had it, and I'm like, I'll log into because it's bundled with my subscription to GameFly. I'll log in and see what it is, and it's like 10 frames a second.
Oh my god. You know what would be funny if Sony went to an E3 and they were trying to promote their TV, like their televisions. Like, oh, try this new Sony TV. It's more crispier or something like that. Oh, and you get to play this new exclusive we've been teasing for like 5 years.
Oh my god.
Buy this TV. It's only like $1,000 though.
Yeah, that's so like aside from that, in the Sega, if they were to come back theoretically, yeah, a big one that they would promote, depending on if it's out by that point, would be Shenmue 3.
Yep.
Like,
oh yeah, Shenmue 3. They probably want to bring back some of their old titles like Streets of Rage or Golden Axe, one of those.
I mean, Golden Axe would be better.
To be fair, if we take Project Cross Zone into account, if we take all the Sega, they could promote all the Sega characters that were in Project Cross Zone, right? So Project Cross Zone is sort of what we can get.
Like I would
that
just
would be a good debut.
Yeah, it would.
For a console as well.
So we would have all the characters they had in Project Cross Zone from the Sega side. I'm pretty sure if you Googled it, somebody probably put a list of all the Capcom, Namco, and Sony characters or whatever, Sega characters or whatever. So we do that. I mean, Sega could use those characters that they have and make a new game for that.
Yeah.
Let me actually check that out. Project X Zone, or Project Cross Zone, here we go. Sega roster. We have Ichiru and Sakura from Sakura Wars, Gemini and Erika from Sakura Wars, Akira and Pai from Virtua Fighter, Kurt and Raylia from Valkyria Chronicles 3, Toma and Zero from Shining Force Exa, and Zephyr and Leanne from Resident Evil. And also, in there, as rival characters, Salveria Bless, IMA, Sasux, or however the fuck you say that, Risame, I'm slaughtering these fucking names, La Baze.
Of course, you don't know what the hell these are, man, I swear.
Like Coco Coco from Space Channel 5, for fuck's sake, and Vidurai.
Yeah. I've played Space Channel 5. I think,
so did
was
I.
it good?
It's pretty good.
I think I played it.
It's pretty good, but like, my fucking god. Translator, please. It's weird seeing something like this, but yeah, that would be a great way to market this. Essentially, is like, here's what we still have rights to, kids.
We got a few biscuits here.
I just in like a Sega Genesis, like new gen. I wonder what that looked like. I'm actually kind of curious now. I'm really.
I think it would obviously be a console. It wouldn't be like a handheld device like the Nintendo Switch is. It'd be definitely a console.
Yeah, probably based off of similar specs that they were bringing out today to whatever we're getting for the the next generation of, you know, the Sony and Xbox consoles.
Yeah, it was almost like, wasn't the Sega, like, it was almost like it had the feel like of an Xbox. It was like American-based console, basically.
Yeah, it had like
that.
it had the feel of like the Xbox, or at least the Dreamcast did. But,
Yeah, it felt more like adultish.
Yeah.
What I was trying to get at.
Yeah, it definitely did.
The NES. So they knew their market.
Yeah, they definitely did, and they marketed to it, like the young teens or the young adults to the adults, you know, somewhere in that demographic. And then, hey kids, you can do the Marios on this one. But yeah, ending this episode off, you know, that we'll basically be, you know, talking next about like the traditional DLC era, the big no-no era where stuff started, you know, change in the industry the most. It's really going to be a longer episode, so strap in for more than a 25-minute episode for that one. But until next time, peace.
Deuces.